And we've got an incredible program that we're going to try to get and take some video for you here. Alibis, Sigmar Polke, 1963 to 2010. Well, I've been excited to see this exhibition, and I've been waiting for about 6 months. And yes, oh, this is supposed to be one of the largest one-man shows that the Museum of Modern Art has put on, and also probably the biggest Sigmar Polke show that has happened since his death. Hey, there's Jerry Saltz. Well, I gotta run through this pretty fast because I only have an hour to get through here. So if I miss the names or titles of some of the pieces, it's because of the expedience. I actually spent 2.5 years in Germany in the early 70s, and I got up to Berlin every now and then, although I know Polke was actually out in Dusseldorf in the Rhineland, but I was able to see work by his teacher and mentor, Joseph Beuys. This is a nice piece. This is on rippled glass, and I don't have the title, but I remember seeing a series of works like this maybe in the early aughts, late 90s. This is titled Flying Saucers. This is 1968, 63 by 50 inches. It's titled Police Pig, Polizeischwein, 1986, acrylic on canvas, 9 feet 10 inches by 7 feet 4 inches. And as I understand it, Polke always painted these by hand, his Retsa paintings. And I think the interesting thing is that in a certain way this kind of relates to Liechtenstein. I guess at some point he started having the Retsa pieces done mechanically. Oh, this is a big piece. Season's hottest trend. Mixed fabric. Well, after I came back to the United States from Europe, I eventually moved to New York, and I remember back in the early 80s when there was a whole revival of painting, and you had movements like Neo-Expressionism and the Neue Wilden coming in from Germany. And because of my time over there and the kind of sensitivity that I had to the Germans, I was a big fan of that work. Polke, I think, is in a little different category. Well, you can see the kind of playful things he's doing with his extension of the fabric over the ends. He never did fit in with the Neo-Expressionists so much, and I think that he came out of more of a kind of a Dadaist thing, and that's where I'm thinking that Joseph Beuys was probably much more important to him, because Beuys was a kind of a challenge, or a person that was picking up Duchamp's approach. There's the second gallery, and oh, they've got a great selection of his drawings and works on paper. This is titled Cabinet. 1963 enamel paint on canvas. Yeah, I think it's great. He's kind of combining a satirical pop art attitude with a minimalism. Socks. It's also 63 enamel paint on canvas. And he and Conrad Fischer and Gerhard Richter got together and started a movement called capitalist realism, called the Sausage Eater. This is 6 foot 6 inches by 59 inches. (1963), and I think they wanted to play off or parody the East German or the Soviet version of art at the time, which was socialist realism. This is untitled dot painting. Damien Hirst, Eat Your Heart Out. This is 1963. Watercolor and gouache on paper, 24 by 20 inches. This is one of the early Ratzler pieces, Portrait of Lee Harvey Oswald. It's titled Shirts. You know, I'm looking at this and I'm almost thinking of someone like John Wesley. And here again, you can see that Polke's got a real an interest in paint surface, what happens to paint as it dries. Plastic tubs. He's also into very kind of banal subject matter. Got a little cabinet with his sketchbooks, and he was a prolific draftsman. This almost makes me think of some of the Kippenberg drawings. He was collecting cartoons. And again, I think that you can see a relationship between some of this and Picabia. Well, because time is running out on me, I'll just maybe sweep over some of these galleries. Why Can't I Stop Smoking? That's nice. See, this is probably about 6 by 4 feet. Oh, these pieces are great. Biscuits, oil and lacquer on canvas, and chocolate painting. This is Donuts Berliner, Blackebrune. Japanese Dancer. It's 1966. 6 foot 6 by 66 inches. Oh, look, there's Peter Sheldall and Walter Robinson. It's titled Doer Hair. 1970. Elastic band of nails on fabric over particle board. It also kind of makes me think of some of Richard Artswager's architectural pieces from the, maybe it's the late 60s. They were very photorealist in a way, kind of a perverted photorealism. This is a wonderful piece. This is titled Lovers. 1967. And this is ballpoint. Felt tip markers and lacquer on canvas. So in that way, this is almost more like a drawing, but you could still sense he's got a great feel for the medium. So two versions of Girlfriend, gelatin silver print. Now I guess at some point, maybe in the mid-60s, that Polke started experimenting more with photography. Oh, this is a wonderful piece. Girlfriends, Freundinnen, 1965-66. Dispersion paint on canvas, 59 by 74.5 inches. And there's a whole bunch of people out in Bushwick that are doing things that kind of relate to this. Except a lot of them are doing it with digital printers, and so it's not quite as interesting. That's a wonderful piece. This show is sponsored by Volkswagen, and it's unusual because since the Modern has reopened here in their new building, I guess it's probably been about almost 10 years now, they've had many major exhibitions of German artists. Gerhard Richter, Kippenberger, and now Polke. And I wonder if it's just a question of who is sponsoring it.
Hello.
Valerie Ostenu, what do you think of the show, Valerie?
I think it's fabulous. I really love Sigmar
Do you speak
Polke.
German at all?
Just a little bit. Ein kleine bisschen.
Ein kleiner bisschen. Tell us what about it attracts you the most.
I think he is an experimental
Yes.
artist that experimented with every style possible. Abstraction, surrealism,
Dada, poetry,
poetry,
Pop art.
visual poetry, and drugs. He experimented with psychedelics. He is a psychedelian. He's a sexual pioneer.
Really?
Unbelievable how many things he, tried and succeeded.
He was also kind of an alchemist because a lot of this work is dealing with weird kinds of chemicals and
Right.
mediums and resins and
destruction. At the moment he
toxic things.
had a vision, he immediately had to either destroy it or superimpose it or solarize it. He used techniques to destroy the original, too realistic figures and images. And his output is unbelievable.
No, he's very prolific.
And
Very
some
prolific.
of it, it's not that good, artistically.
If you saw it in an individual piece, you wouldn't be blown away. But when you see the mass of the work,
in a way, it shows his aesthetic. His aesthetic is a little bit off the official, good-looking art.
yeah, it's kind of crappy.
Exactly.
Thanks,
And
Valerie.
Thank you.
All right.
James.
Okay. Well, we're going to chop our program in half here because I don't want to blow up my editing program. So come on back for part 2 and see the rest from about 1968 to 2010. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Gimaugua.